Eliminate the gender from defining who a child is. Focus instead on qualities and traits to create the right environment for a happy and confident child. From the time children are born, as parents, we rejoice by sharing whether it's a boy or a girl. And from the very early on, we begin to form these gender associations by keeping color-coded clothes, decorations of the room, toys, activities. And it is so deeply embedded in our belief system, in our culture, in our society, in our community, that for a child, gender socialization happens from a very early age. It's very important that when we talk about an inclusive and a gender-sensitive society, we also begin to look at some of these gender-based socialization and understand them from the very start. Now, for a child, they understand gender differences physically as early as 1.5 years. At the age of 3 years, they are able to express their preferences of toys and activities, which are again more gendered. And some of their immediate understanding of gender differences is through their observations, and there are various sources for it. It could be media, it could be day-to-day conversations. The most immediate and the most impactful of all of them is in the form of what we are doing at home. For example, the most common of all and the most simple of all could be the fact that when mothers are working more at home, taking care of more household chores, while fathers are going out of the house to work, to earn. This is something that child internalizes and also begins to look at it as a form of a gender-based norm on a role, and forms a certain kind of conformity as well. If we look at some of the basic conversations that we tend to make, which can be very gender biased in our day-to-day life, it could be the fact that if a boy cries, don't be a sissy, be a man. If a girl is showing anger or aggression, you're a girl, you can't show aggression. Expecting girls to be more tolerant of their negative emotions, while asking boys to be more tolerant of their crying behavior and not express their emotions really well, and so on and so forth. What this does is that a child from a very early on begins to understand and begins to see what is a favorable and an unfavorable gender image, which evokes a sense of conformity of what is acceptable. Now, the very idea of the fact that we want to create a more explorative and a creative environment for our children goes against when we are following rigid, gender-biased norms, roles, and expectations, which are prescriptive, which are predictable, and which is something that creates a lot of restraint and restrictiveness in helping a child explore what they really want to through various exposures and opportunities in their day-to-day life. Children begin to learn what is for them and what is not for them through these gender socialized communications, conversations, role modeling that they see in their day-to-day life. Which is why when we talk about raising a society which is more inclusive and gender sensitive, we need to start early. And we begin by creating a gender sensitive environment at home, by having more gender neutral structures, expose and provide opportunities to children of various toys, activities, choices, preferences. When you're watching something, make them think critically on media, television, various other forms of sources of why is it that we are again looking at gender stereotypes? Could it be different? Could we think about it in a different way? Make them think critically about these gender stereotypes and biases. Avoid making any gender biased remarks. You're a boy, this is how you should behave. You're a girl, this is how you should sit. You should be more ladylike. You should be more like a man. Avoid any of these conversations and communications that you make to your child. And at the same time, expose them, show them individual role models which do not conform to these gender stereotypical behavior. Give them the opportunity to look at and follow role models who show unconventional gender role modeling. If we want to raise children who are confident in our society, we need to first raise them as an individual of the society.